Coming up, we go flying in a D-Day survivor as she gets ready to return to Normandy.
And we go flying over Montana for a preview of what's in store for you at our Missoula fly-in. Tech-based clearance delivery for GA pilots.
And he's still in the race. AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
Celebrate 20 years with Sonex Aircraft by building and flying your dream. Quick handling, fun, and capable kit aircraft models to suit your flying passions. Get the best performance per dollar with Sonex Aircraft.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haynes and Melissa Rudinger.
We are getting closer and closer to a U.S.-built, FAA-certified, all-electric aircraft.
By Aerospace in Colorado announced this week that the two-seat Sunflyer 2 will fly behind a Siemens motor and inverter.
Electric motors have one moving part and in incredible economy. 1/6 the cost per flight hour for an electric airplane as compared to a legacy trainer.
By says the Sunflyer will use about $3 of electricity per flight hour. And he says the aircraft will be able to fly for more than 3 hours on a charge. But most importantly, the Sunflyer 2 will cut the costs of flight training.
So many students drop out because they just can't afford it. By getting this price down per flight hour, we hope it really opens up the opportunity for new young pilots.
So another benefit of the Part 23 rewrite that we reported on just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think we're finally seeing it bear fruit. And as I said, it was a decade-long effort to get Part 23 rewritten so that it's more less prescriptive and more performance-based regulatory process that makes it easier to get things certified and makes it smarter.
Yeah.
So get things like electric propulsion.
Yeah, looking forward to see where that goes.
Yes. Well, this has a pretty high woohoo factor. Diamond Aircraft has just flown a new variant of its turboprop aerobatic trainer. The Dart 550 has a 550 horsepower, get it, GE engine up front, max speed of 247 knots, ejection seats, 5-blade prop. Just a thing for a weekend fun flight. And another new turbine on the block, the Kodiak 100 Series 2. Quest is adding some creature comforts to this backcountry hauler. Better soundproofing and ventilation, Rosen sun visors, plugs for those Bose headsets. The Kodiak now comes with the latest Garmin avionics, the G1000 NXI, which can connect to your tablet and also offers Surface Watch. The Kodiak was originally conceived for mission work in third world countries. Quest claims more than 200 enhancements to the model since it first came out 10 years ago. And there's a growing demand for backcountry aircraft, according to Cub Crafters. They say they're going to ramp up production of Carbon Cubs next year. Cub Crafters has increased its manufacturing space by more than 50% as it cranks out 4 different models, including the new X-Cub. And speaking of backcountry aircraft, your AOPA Sweepstakes Super Cub is about to fly west for some Idaho backcountry flying and then on to Missoula, Montana. The Super Cub will be on display during the Missoula fly-in. If you're a current AOPA member, you already have an entry in the sweepstakes. Visit our website to see more ways to enter. And we do hope you'll visit us June 15 and 16 in Missoula for the first AOPA fly-in of the year. If backcountry flying is an interest, we have a workshop for that on Friday morning. And as you can see, there are other seminars covering a variety of topics. You can check it all out and register for the fly-in on our website. And if the idea of flying over the Montana backcountry excites you, we have 3 flyouts you can choose from. AOPA Live executive producer Warren Morningstar flies a bit of a preview for you.
All 3 of the flyouts from Missoula International Airport will take you over some spectacular terrain. It's rugged, it's remote, and here's a quick tip. Don't count on ADS-B in for weather unless you have a Sirius XM satellite receiver. The ground-based system wasn't available at the altitudes I flew over the mountains. Now the Saturday flyout will take you to City Lake and a well-maintained grass strip. The Recreational Aviation Foundation will host their famous potato bake. You can camp overnight and join AOPA Air Safety Foundation Executive Director Richard McSpadden for a fireside chat. Now, Richard's also a former Thunderbirds lead, so there may be a few tall tales. AOPA President Mark Baker will be serving you pancakes in the morning. The Friday flyout takes you out over the Bob Marshall Wilderness area, the third largest in the U.S. Along the way, you'll see the Chinese Wall, which marks the Continental Divide. Now, it would take you several days to hike to the wall. There are no roads in this part of the wilderness area, so flying may just be the best way to see it. You'll complete this flight at Crystal Lakes and the private Stonehenge Air Museum. More than 24 vintage aircraft, including the world's only airworthy Mk-47 Seafire.
Bring that fat bomber in here. Drop! Drop! Drop!
I'm glad we're not at war.
Well, if you saw the Spielberg classic Always, you'll remember the great flying scenes of aerial firefighting. Sunday's flyout will take you to Libby, Montana, and the movie set. Then a short flight to Sandpoint, Idaho, and a tour of the Quest aircraft facility. Now, these are some flying adventures you won't want to miss. War on Morningstar, AOPA Live.
You can register for any or all of the flyouts on our website. Are you doing any of the flyouts?
I'm trying to do the Sealy Lake one, making those arrangements now and figuring out how to get camping gear out there, but we'll work it out.
It looks beautiful.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, we couldn't do these fly-ins without the help of an army of volunteers. They're the folks that not only make it happen, but make the fly-in something truly special. It's a great opportunity to make new friends and learn something new about aviation. We still need some more volunteers from Missoula, particularly pilots and others familiar with parking airplanes. If you're willing to help, please sign up on our website. And there is such a thing as a free lunch, plus a free t-shirt and a hat.
This week would have been President John F. Kennedy's 101st birthday. 74 years ago this week, a young Lieutenant Kennedy did something on his birthday that nobody knew about until now. He soloed a seaplane, specifically an Embry-Riddle J-3 Cub on floats. This previously unknown bit of history surfaced during an Embry-Riddle project to document the Aviation University's history.
And Bob was reaching out to alumni and employees from the early days, trying to flesh out our history. And he was talking with a woman named Helen Hassey, who had been one of our flight instructors in Miami at our seaplane base during the 1940s. And Helen told Bob that she recalled the day that JFK showed up at our seaplane base for flight lessons. And this was a shock.
It took a lot of sleuthing and deep dives into numerous archives to confirm the story, but it's true and it's a fascinating story. You can read more about it and see the full interview with historian Kevin Montgomery on our website.
Aviation lost two icons last week when Pat Napolitano and his beloved Queenie, a Beech Staggerwing, crashed southeast of Santa Fe on the evening of May 25th. With a heart as big as his smile, Napolitano, age 53, was known across the country for the company he kept, Queenie, a beautifully restored D-17. The airplane was the corporate airplane for Mid-Continent Instruments and Avionics out of Wichita, and Pat was a West Coast sales rep for the company, but he spent much of his time piloting Queenie to events across the country, taking thousands of folks for rides in the classic Staggerwing. The two were regulars at AOPA fly-ins and were scheduled to be at all of them this year. I was privileged to fly with Pat on a beautiful evening last September in Wichita, a flight I won't forget. He loved that airplane and cared for it as if it were his child. Pat grew up flying T-6 Texans and had over 2,000 hours of heavy tailwheel experience before he ever got in Queenie for the first time back in 2012. We'll miss his big smile, his booming laugh, his generosity. Our condolences to his family and our friends at Mid-Continent. Tailwinds Pat. And we'll be back in a moment.
Here at You Can Fly, our sole mission is to get people flying and keep them flying. Each of our 4 initiatives is designed to reach pilots at a critical point in their journey.
Please don't let general aviation fade away. Support the AOPA Foundation and the You Can Fly program.
Welcome back. Tell me if this has ever happened to you. The controller says, advise when ready to copy. You pick up your pencil and say ready. And then the controller spits out a stream of stuff so fast your pencil is a blur and you wonder if you got it all. Well, there's a better way for GA pilots to get an IFR clearance, and MITRE is testing it at an airport near us.
This demonstration we're doing at Manassas is part of a larger concept exploration that MITRE's been doing for the last 3 years. And we're looking at the feasibility of delivering instrument clearances to pilots at towered and non-towered airports using mobile technology. So we're starting with this initial test where the pilot gets some information that we call expected clearance information. Then they're still required to call the tower, get their clearance through normal means by voice.
NASA's clearance is STX 62818. I'd like to pick up my IFR to Savannah, please.
STX 62818, Manassas ground. You're cleared to Sierra Alpha Victor Airport via the Orsmo 5 departure. Direct destination. Climb via the SID. Expect 8,000, 10 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 128.52. Clock 5630.
And then we ask them after they get their clearance from ATC to compare the information they got in the email from ForeFlight to what the controller issued to them. And they follow a link to a feedback site and they can provide that information to us. So what we're exploring here is, are we able to formulate and deliver a clearance information that matches what ATC is issuing verbally?
Right now, this text clearance is only available for pilots using ForeFlight and flying out of Manassas, Virginia. But if everything works out, it could be available to pilots everywhere. And Tom, this is something we learned about 2 years ago. We saw it demoed for the first time, and we told the FAA, you have to fund this research and get this to the market as soon as possible. So in FAA time, 2 years is not a long time. But I'm happy to see it's finally being tested, and we hope to get it fielded really soon.
Yeah, that'll be great. I think it'll really help cut down the number of errors and make it a lot easier for pilots, reduce the workload. Well, hey, it just won't go away. ATC privatization. Even though the idea of turning air traffic control over to a nonprofit board dominated by the airlines was finally beaten down in Congress weeks ago, the Washington Post is still mourning the loss. The editorial board opined that this so-called air traffic control reform would have made things better for airline passengers, and that it was a shame that general aviation special interests were able to defeat the plan. To which we said, bravo, Sierra. Well, not quite in those words. AOPA and the National Business Aviation Association responded to the editorial, pointing out that general aviation represents a tiny fraction of the traffic at the major airline hub airports. Changing air traffic control fees isn't going to fix the delay problem, and there was a broad-based community opposition to giving the airlines control of the system anyhow. The Washington Post did not print our letter, but we felt better sending it anyhow.
And the growth of airline flying is part of the reason for a current pilot shortage. The recent New York Times article reported that the airlines carried a record 896 million people in 2015. Some communities are clamoring for more flights, but the airlines can't provide them because they can't get crews. Several regional airlines have gone out of business because they couldn't get or couldn't afford pilots. Pilot pay is climbing at the regionals. Air Wisconsin is offering bonuses of up to $57,000. An affiliate of American Airlines offers a signing bonus of $45,000 and a guarantee that you'll be flying for American within 5 years. JetBlue will pay for your training. So if your goal is to fly for a living, there's never been a better time.
And that makes AOPA's You Can Fly program all the more important. One part of the You Can Fly program aims to get young people started early in aviation. You Can Fly's STEM curriculum will be in about 100 schools next year. Next month, groups of teachers will be here in the You Can Fly Academy to learn how to use aviation to help teach science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. A university aviation program is another path toward an aviation career.
California Aeronautical University in Bakersfield is working to help with the pilot shortage. The university offers several programs to take students from no flight experience to professional pilot. AOPA Live's Josh Cochran shows us what it's like to be a student at CAU.
Eric Banford was bit by the aviation bug when he was young.
My mom was a flight attendant for United Airlines, so ever since she took me on my first flight, which was around preschool, I just fell in love with aviation. Been passionate about it ever since.
And now Eric is living his dream as a student at California Aeronautical University.
Bakersfield Tower, CAU-36 is holding short 30 left at Bravo, ready for departure.
I get to live my dream every day, meet great people, and have a lot of fun. I fly all the time. I learn about aviation. It's my passion, so it's a dream come true.
Eric is at the end of his first year at CAU and is almost finished with his instrument reading. He finds life at CAU challenging but rewarding.
Every day it's something different. And it's not easy, but if you're passionate about it, you can definitely push through it.
Part of what makes CAU successful is the central focus on aviation.
We're solely aviation. Everything has a concentration in aviation. Us being right on airports makes a big difference. We have a 22-acre campus that is actually on airport, as you can see. And again, all these students are pilots or are in an aviation program or all together. So they can just look around and look at someone's shoulder and see, hey, you have a private pilot, I don't have any stripes, I have someone that I can go to that can help.
CAU gives students a fast, efficient pathway into aviation careers.
It's a focused pathway for the student that really knows that this is what they want to do, and they want to get from, I've never been in a plane, to flying, for a regional carrier in the fast amount of time. I think that's what makes CAU unique, because everything we do is about getting someone focused and ready for a career, not just the degree.
CAU has partnerships with several airlines, and they regularly come to campus to recruit students. And now is the ideal time to pursue a career in aviation. The opportunities are endless.
If it's something that you're interested in, if you've ever been to an air show, if you're just one of those people that kind of looks up and down, when you hear something up there, there's just so many opportunities. There's just so many things that you can do and be a part of an exciting industry that's growing like crazy.
Josh Cochran, AOPA Live.
And there is an amazing opportunity for a high school student interested in pursuing an aviation career. AOPA is partnering with CAU to offer a full scholarship for the entire 3-year program. Find out how to apply at the URL on your screen. The Red Bull Air Race picked up again with another exciting weekend in Chiba, Japan. Australian Matt Hall placed first in the race, but AOPA ambassador Michael Goulian fought hard and placed second. This is Goulian's third podium finish this year, and he is tied with Hall for first in the O Series overall. The next stop of the race is Budapest on June 23rd.
This week marks 74 years since D-Day. In the invasion, over 150,000 troops mounted a mighty attack on the beaches of Normandy, France on June 6, 1944. The battle turned the tide of the war and made the Allied victory possible. And that massive invasion was led by a very important group of C-47s. The airplanes dropped thousands of paratroopers into the darkness to begin the Normandy attack.
D-Day invasion was really the massive push toward the liberation of Europe. And it was also one of the first large-scale airborne invasion efforts, and that's really where we get involved with the DC-3 and the C-47. That airplane formed the backbone of the D-Day invasion and the initial waves, preparing the area for those brave soldiers who came ashore on the beaches.
One D-Day veteran airplane is C-47 Placid Lassie.
She flew on D-Day for the 82nd Airborne, towing gliders in the first wave, and then numerous resupply missions after that.
On June 6, 2019, Placid Lassie will return to the skies over Normandy as part of the D-Day Squadron.
The D-Day Squadron is an effort to bring a full squadron of C-47 aircraft, D-Day veteran aircraft, to Normandy for the 75th anniversary of the D-Day invasion. We actually are a little bit more successful in the full squadron. We actually have 22 airplanes committed to go to Normandy and join another dozen or so airplanes in Normandy for that commemoration.
The C-47s will fly across the English Channel and drop paratroopers wearing World War II uniforms into the historic drop zones of Normandy. The event next year will be a powerful way to remember the thousands of soldiers who sacrificed their lives on those Normandy beaches so many years ago. Learn more about the anniversary events and the D-Day Squadron's activities at the URL there on your screen. I got a chance to fly in Placid Lassie at Sun and Fun with Eric. It was amazing. What a cool old airplane, and to think of that airplane was there 74 years ago and is now going to be back over there next year.
That sounds like quite an event. I think that's going to be remarkable. We've both visited Normandy at different times, and
right.
it's very, very special place.
It is really moving place to be, and so hope you get a chance to go over and be a part of the anniversary next year, because I think it's going to be really special. Well, that's it for us this week. Have a comment about the show? We'd like to hear your feedback. Send us an email at the address on the screen.
And see you next Thursday for another AOPA Live This Week.
Meet the pilots who fly with AOPA Insurance. They love flying and saving money, just like you. At AOPA Insurance, we understand how you fly and provide the coverage you need to keep on flying. Call for a free quote and see which AOPA insurance plan is right for you.